Go to serious.
The real deal is here. True Line record label.
Everything is said, KK.
Brilliant. Barakallahu fikum.
Production.
Kampe kumwana wangu wako host.
Wange muulira yenene ya liga ya running sugar.
Saka Kayira.
Wajiso.
Kampe kumwana wange Kautharo wako host lero.
Badde mpulira ali mu background nga ndowooza gw'ogamba nti all right. This is go to risk the civil. Abantu bayigidde dda. We want to head off. Hello, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Come Let's Talk with me, Kassim, Kayira, a program where you are the experts because it is your experiences that actually make this particular program what it has become and what it is continuing to become, inshallah. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for health, for good health, for those who are alive. And for those who have any ailments, we pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He absolves you from that kind of situation, gets you out of the ill health and gives you good health. I think it is good to be alive. Every day you realize that and appreciate it, the more you are living. I hope also for those who have made the decision to go for the vaccine, if you have an opportunity to just grab it and take the vaccine, you never know, it might be our way out of what has been 2 difficult years, but inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who brings situations and He's the one who takes them away. Today, we are talking about the saga of phones. What is it about phones actually that makes it, makes them such a problem? Yet they're supposed to be a facility that helps us in situations to help us communicate. But when it gets to couples and phones, the reality is getting increasingly different and sometimes very difficult. Phones and fate is the discussion tonight. Should spouses have access to each other's phones? Why is the phone a private affair? Someone feels like if you checked into their phone, then you have crossed particular territory. Who snoops the most, men or women on each other's phones? Is it the women who like to read those messages unintentionally, or do they just end up finding those messages just coming straight into their hands? Are phones breaking relationships instead of building the relationship? How do you actually resist the temptation to check that pinging message? Husband has gone into the bathroom, left the phone in the living room. You are sat there watching your telly, and then message goes, did it? Do you have the temptation? Do you ever avoid that temptation to want to read? Oh, it might be vice versa. It might be madam has gone to the bathroom, and husband, you are at the telly or be just before the telly watching, and then the temptation to just want to read. Are you safer not reading? Some of these situations, sometimes we don't know what we are dealing with. And as a result, I think you are best off not checking the phones. The advice has always been, conventional wisdom has been, don't check the phones. But should it be that private? Shouldn't people who live together, people who are in a relationship, really be free with each other when it comes to things like phones? After all, you share more intimate things. Why should a phone become the co-wife in this particular instance? What do you do when your partner's phone rings and they're out of the room? What cell phone stories have you experienced? I would like to hear these stories. And this is where this conversation actually gets a lot more interesting. It is your stories that make this program what it is. It is your experiences. It is what we learn, the takeaways from these particular conversations that help us to become better people in different ways. And therefore, our effort, I think, is to try to see how we overcome that. Maybe to get us thinking and getting us ready, we are going to watch just a sketch by Kassim, one of Uganda's most popular comedians, just looking at phones and what they can actually do in a relationship. Isma, if you can get us that clip, please, so that we can get our people ready.
Give me 2 minutes, please.
Oh, right. Did I catch you off guard? Right, but I'll be expecting us to have actually a lot of conversations around this, and conversations are already beginning. I love the conversations in the chat room because I always manage to check in the chat room. So while we are having this conversation, my eyes are moving up and down just to make sure that we can check into what you are saying. And remember, we are live on 75W Radio, as well as live on Zoom and streaming live on YouTube via UMMA Connected. All of you are welcome. Let's come, let's talk. This is the conversation, your global community conversation. And today we are talking about phones and fate. What actually comes out of the phones? Could it be that the phone which helps you to get someone becomes the very reason you actually lose them? Isma, if you are ready, you can just give me a pointer and then we shall roll that. I wanted just to ask to use that sketch just to help us prepare and have a conversation around this. Are there moments, for example, when you are having your phone and you are like on tenterhooks, your partner is there, and when the phone rings, you're very quick to first check, and then before you can even, like make it sound public, are you that person who receives phone calls and then you just move out of the room and go elsewhere to have that chat? Is it an office chat? With the COVID situation and having to work from home, are we getting more excuses probably to get onto our phones and have other conversations that are not necessarily work related? I can see the conversation is already beginning. Lisa in the chat room says, read with caution. What are you reading with caution? Kauthar says, what a great topic to touch upon. Can't wait to hear and learn from this topic, inshallah. And the link, remember, if you haven't connected in, please, you have our link. Just go in, or if you just get to Zoom, you can just enter the codes very quickly. The codes are easy. It's 248-453-7363. You do not need a password for that. Isma, are we ready to roll?
Yes, we are ready.
Please, let's have that clip and just get our people thinking.
We have a responsibility as
not that one, Isma, the other one.
That we are helping them build.
The other one. So the next one comes after that.
You go on. I'll let you know when it's ready.
All right. Let's actually use this one now. Let's start with that one with Simon Sinek, who is talking about cell phones destroying relationships.
Horribly at. It is so easy. Let me show you one. Can I borrow someone's phone, please? Anyone? Thank you. Okay, there is a subconscious reaction to these devices when we use them. Okay? What if I were to hold my phone while I'm talking to you? I'm not checking it, it's not buzzing, it's not beeping.
Isma, there is a request that we play the clip from the
nothing.
beginning. It looks like we lost
Do you
about
feel
30
at this
seconds.
moment that you are the...
We lost about 30 seconds of the clip. Do you want to put it to the beginning? Yeah.
We have a responsibility as marketers to help our clients use technology to bring people together. We have a responsibility as companies to offer the people who work in our companies a sense that we are helping them build their confidence, that we're helping them overcome their addictions, that we're going to teach them patience, and we're going to teach them how to build strong personal relationships. We don't have a choice. We have a higher burden upon us. And there's so many little things that we can do that we are failing horribly at. That are so easy. Let me show you one. Can I borrow someone's phone, please? Anyone? Thank you. Okay, there is a subconscious reaction to these devices when we use them. Okay? What if I were to hold my phone while I'm talking to you? I'm not checking it, it's not buzzing, it's not beeping. I'm nothing. I'm just holding it. Do you feel at this moment that you are the most important thing to me right now? No, you do not. Because there is a subconscious reaction we have to the device. When it is out, it makes the people around us feel that they are less important. So when we're walking down the halls in our offices and somebody says, hey boss, can I ask you a question? You go, sure, what's on your mind? We've just told them they're not that important. Or we can go, sure, what's on your mind? And if you don't have a pocket, find a shelf, put it on the shelf, come back and say, sure, what's on your mind? When we show up to a meeting, or a lunch, or a dinner, with our colleagues, our clients, or our friends, or our families, and we put the phone on the table, we have announced to everyone in the room that they are not that important to us. And by the way, putting the phone upside down is not more polite. My favorite one is when the meeting or at a lunch with someone that the phone will ring and a caller ID will pop up and they will go, I'm not gonna get it. Oh, so magnanimous. Oh, I'm lucky to eat with you today. Or they could just put the damn thing away. You can tell how addicted we are. When somebody pulls out their phone when you're with them, how uncomfortable does that make us feel? You're walking down the street with someone, they pull their phone out. We feel stupid, so what do? We pull our phones out. We're so addicted. Somebody goes to the bathroom when we're at dinner, and what do we have to sit there by ourselves? God forbid we should look around the room for 5 minutes. We pull our phones out. Meetings, awful. What do we do when a meeting happens, right? Everybody's sitting waiting for the meeting to start. Bob's running a few minutes late. Bob's here? Okay, start the meeting. Do you know when relationships are built? All that in between time. Thank you very much.
My name is Scott Harrison.
Shay, unmute yourself.
Received. Okay. Sincere apologies. I didn't notice that. And operating with so many gadgets now has its own problems. But you see now that phones are supposed to aid communication. They're supposed to make our communication between ourselves much easier. But then you realize immediately, even unconsciously, when you start holding your phone in a particular way, how it can distract communication. Now, while I went for the big thing, which is about relationships and people checking each other's phones, the communication that is supposed to be even between friends, not just about, husband and wife or girlfriend, boyfriend, the kind of relationship that you have between yours and your manager, or your bosses, or your colleagues can be impacted upon by how you use or approach the phone. So that therefore the phone can be a mechanism for communication, but very easily it could turn very quickly into something that would be an impediment to communication. I would like to hear actually your particular stories. I mean, situations where, for example, you've had a phone, the message clicks and someone reads it, where you ended up having to go. Isma, you are in the studio. I think I'd rather start with you. I wish I could get Madame with it. You are the man in the technical aspects. Isma, have you had a situation where has a phone ever become a problem to you?
No, sir.
Are you sure about that? Because Madame might just call in and talk about and bring evidence to the contrary. Are you sure the phone has never been a problem?
It has never been a problem to me, sir.
Okay, now considering, do you have any phone secrets? Do you ever check your wife's phone, or does she check your phone? Or is it a private affair that she would even have to put it on a saucer to bring it if it rings without even having to check who is even ringing you?
Actually, I can't tamper with her phone.
Is that a kind of an agreed wisdom between you?
Yeah.
That you don't touch her phone?
I can't touch her phone. It's not a phone.
And she doesn't touch you. She doesn't touch yours as well.
She does, but I myself.
Well, Lisa is already making the conversation interesting in the chat room. She's saying this guy I was dating would sit in the car hours on end on business calls, and that is in quotes. We all know it wasn't the paying type of business. Well, I can hear the stories are beginning to come. Well, Maz says, I think Isma has two of them. Isma, there's already an accusation that you have two phones. And you have the public phone and then the other phone that you won't allow access to.
That's what Zaid does. He has got two phones.
Why don't we hear from him? Laila Kadru is saying, "Esimi omsajja jakatunguru. Buli wojikebera
Takumalagala.
kusiwa." Ojinonya koti. Ustad Zaid, I think I'd like to hear from you. Isma, thank you very much for opening our conversation tonight. Ustad Zaid, your phone story.
Okay, thank you. When I sent the message out, someone told me I can't miss tonight's program. Just know, my phone is a private, it's my private life. It's a no go zone, but right. I'll tune in, and I think he's about to tune in.
That's them. Your own story now.
KK,
yeah.
My phone
is your property.
Is my phone. I'm so lucky that my wife doesn't. She's not bothered with whatever. Yeah, I use whatever goes on with my phone. I don't touch her phone. She knows my password. I know her password, but she's always with her phone. Always on my phone. That's it. I'm not bothered.
Not many men would say that.
I can leave my phone at home for a month.
And your heart won't be beating.
She won't even be. She won't check it.
Yeah. Well, I think with many people, what you do is you create a kind of respect that sort of exists between the two of you. If it is a call, for example, that has come through, you can see if the phone was left there, and you just carry the phone. I think for me, what I would do ideally is if my wife's phone rang, I'll carry it and take it to her and say so and so is calling, because probably I've seen on the screen, and I think she might as well do the same. But the phone is kind of, I don't know why I always feel like it's a private affair. It shouldn't be something that everyone accesses. But that is my view. I might be wrong, because Abdul Karim Mugabe is saying if there is a friendish trust, it's okay to get it. It also depends on the level of trust. So, Ustad Zaid, your level of trust is at such a point where you don't have a problem.
I don't have trust issues with my wife. She has no trust issues with me. So it's all good. It's all good. Yeah.
How I wish we could hear her side of the story. It would be very interesting to hear her confess to that. But I've got a
but I don't think she can speak. But she's just there.
I would like to hear. I'd like to hear her side of the story. Hajati Ustad Zaid, if you are there, please, I would like to talk to you. This is a global conversation. Are you there?
But do you doubt my phone? Do you touch my phone? Do you have?
No, I'd rather hear it from her.
She's asking. She just said what for?
Zaid, this is a conversation we are having, and I'd rather I had heard from her, because probably that would tell a different story. Let me just put the question to Narong. Narong, okay. You can unmute yourself, please. Yeah, I'd like to hear your phone perspective. Are you shy? Yeah, I can hear you. You're just echoing. But...
No, I don't have a problem.
Yeah, but what do you think about the phone? Should it be a private affair? Should everyone not touch each other's phones, or what?
No, I think it should be open. Why are people not? I think my phone is open to everyone, so I think everyone's phone should be open to everyone.
Hasfake is saying, never send yourself for a heart attack. Don't pry. Mariam Senkubuge is saying, Leila, speak for yourself. Personally, I'm bothered with his phone. Layla, I think, is trying to make a claim that she's not bothered. But I think Layla was raising exactly that same point. She was saying that actually you would get that. And Layla says because we are addicted to our men's phones, any opportunity we get. Yeah, so actually I think it will be very interesting just to hear from the women. What exactly are you looking at? But we have Abdul Karim Mugabi as usual. Abdul Karim, thank you very much for joining the conversation. Come, let's talk with me, Kassim Kayira, here on live on 75W Radio, as well as on UMMA Connected, on Zoom and on YouTube. Abdul Karim, your take on tonight's topic.
Yes, Mr. Kayira. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I love the way you phrase it, that Abdul Karim as usual.
Well, you make my nights. You make my nights when it comes to conversations.
No, I love the open session. You know, some people may cartoon in, but it's free to talk what you think is right. You know.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a nice topic. Just personal feeling is that there are circumstances where I would love my partner to have access to my phone. I've been a culprit. I won't deny, and it turned out to be sour. But
you are caught off guard.
Yeah. And it was very nasty. But I'll tell you one scenario. It depends on the level of trust of your partner. What's the level of trust between me and you? And if I give you an example, like here, we may get together because of convenience. I'm with you because of circumstance, and the level of trust is a little bit less to open up 100% to you. But I'll tell you a scenario whereby a friend of mine had a problem. He passed out, and they couldn't access everything from the phone, and the wife didn't know anything. Right. You know. So in such a scenario, I think you have to give a benefit of doubt to your spouse or partner to have access to it, and it depends on what your intention is, because there is a saying that if you seek, you will find. So if you're seeking to find something from my phone, you will end up finding something which will be very disastrous.
Some nudes sent private.
No, not necessarily. It depends. You know, when you are, it depends on the level at which you feel that you're confident to keep them on your phone. But these are daily things which you can get anywhere online or whatever. So why should I keep it on phone? But what I'm saying, if you can have this status of giving your phone to your kid, but you can't give it to your spouse, that means there is a lot of mistrust. And if there is a lot of mistrust, that means you are living in a bubble. Anytime it will burst.
Absolutely. No, I agree on that. But should there be some limitations as to how far someone can go? Because like Layla said, there's the temptation. Women always want to seek. And since you've said if you seek, you will find.
Yeah.
There will be situations. Probably someone is trying to hit on you. You are not interested, but they are keen. They got your number and they send the messages. Probably you have tried to ignore, and someone is even trying to follow the conversation as to what happened. I think there was a very interesting conversation on Mama Tendo recently about a woman who was saying she read through her husband's phone. It's not normally what she does, but she felt tempted. The next thing is she finds out the husband has a woman out who he used to date before they got married, and that they even ended up having a kid while they were married, and he was building a house for her, and the woman apparently was not responding to his messages, but he kept pushing. I've bought the land title. Can you confirm the names you want on the land title? And the wife managed to follow this entire conversation. By finding that really put her in a very difficult situation in terms of their relationship. Should there be boundaries as to how far you go? Because whether you can access the phone is one thing, How much detail you go into is a different thing. It might even be your own wife. We have wives, beautiful women, beautiful wives. They will have people at work, for example, hitting on them. If you go into that phone and you find that message because you're prying, would it not be your fault in that particular instance? That's what I'm trying to sort of point to.
My perception, I would say like every human being will be hit at, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You can be hit at by an opposite sex,
Mm-hmm.
but it's the perception you have in mind, you know. There is need to give someone freedom. There is a boundary. There is a boundary. If your phone rings, for instance, if my phone rings, you just take it to hands, you just bring it to me and say your phone is ringing. So
someone is saying here, and I'm sure, I'm assuming it's a woman, because she says women check phones because men give us a reason to. If you don't give me a reason to check, I won't. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, she could be right.
What reasons do you, is that about being tricky with your phone?
You know, if women are smarter than we men, I would say that in terms of investigating, they will know when to catch you off guard. If you're with her and the phone rings and your body language tells different when you're answering it, then you raise up eyeballs. She'll say, "Lwaki oyogera mukama nga toli kiriya." Yeah?
You've had situations where someone picks up a call and all they are saying is,
yeah, but
me too.
But you give her a benefit of doubt. If the phone calls and you feel, be more smarter. If you think that you are in the red zone, say, "Can I call you later? I'm in the middle of the meeting, or I'm talking to someone, or call me tomorrow, please." You know. But if you start saying, "Okay, okay, yes," you know, she will be suspicious. And as long as there is suspicion, there is disrespect, and there is insecurity. The most important thing is insecurity, because it drives a lot of mistrust. And someone will say, "I don't know, why is your phone? Why do you have to answer your phone in a bathroom? You know."
Abdul Karim, let me just hear from Lisa, because she's been quite active in the chat room, and I think she raises one simple thing that I would wanted to actually ask on. Lisa, please, if you can unmute yourself. I'm trying to get you to unmute yourself. And you said in the chat room, you could easily share with your partner that someone is hitting on you. How easy is that to communicate? Lisa? Lisa, could you unmute yourself, please? I'm trying to get you to unmute yourself. It would be interesting to hear.
She's at work, she says.
Oh, she's at work. Okay. Oh, shame. Yes, who could help? Mariam Senkubugi. Unmute yourself, please, if you're free. Mariam Senkubugi. Are you at work as well? I wanted to kill the monotony of men.
Oh, salam alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you very much. Yes, first of all, well, I'll just start. Someone was talking about if someone was hitting on you, would you tell your husband? Would you be free to share that and say, see what this person, the message is sending me?
I do not really think it would be necessary, because that is something that I could easily deal with, i.e. I'm married, bugger off sort of thing, if necessary. However, if it becomes an issue that I'm unable to handle, then I just might mention it. If I feel it is necessary for me to do so.
Right.
Because sometimes it's not.
Do you think it would be fine to check your husband's phone?
No, I think it's very disrespectful. I think it's very rude to kind of like get onto someone's phone and start checking ABC. However, like I mentioned before, I am not going to go out of my way to look at my husband's phone. But if he gives me reason to look, and he happens to leave it there for me to look, then I most probably will take a peek.
What reason would they give you? You're saying if they gave you a reason to.
For example, if I walk in and then all of a sudden you be quiet on the phone and you start like, like what happened to your voice? You can speak, right? Nedda. Oba oyogera oba toyogera gamba nja kuddira edda. It's as simple as that. But if you start losing your voice just because I have walked into the room, then by all means I have reason to suspect what's going on. Or it could be that you're probably sending messages, blah blah blah, and then as soon as I walk in, you change the screen or you turn it off. See, we're not stupid. We click onto these things so quickly, quicker than you will even breathe or blink.
Yes. Well, I can see the conversation actually is picking up on Facebook as well. Issa Makumbi, all the way in Kampala, which is very late at this hour. Thank you very much for tuning in. He says, Sheikh, whenever I have an upgrade on my phone, my wife takes the new phone, and then I take the old phone and maintain her existing password. Then I set up the new password. That's trust, I think. Rachel Kathy, still on Facebook, Kathy Musoke says, me, I share my phone with my husband and he does the same. So there are people who really have the courage to do that. Sania says in the chat room, says reasons like you're no longer giving me attention. So that could be one of the reasons that you are no longer giving attention. But a cheating person actually would be so clever not to leave such loopholes. They would do everything to try to leave everything looking as normal as possible. Probably not to give you any reasons for that. Maybe men are not so good at that because actually women, especially married women, when it comes to cheating, using their phones, they are better placed. They know the husband's schedules, they know the husband's programs. They'll find very good reasons to do that. And I think for men, sometimes it's not easy because you can easily show and give yourself away. That gives us out. Yeah, I can see the chat room absolutely crazy. Mariam, you're still there. I didn't want to leave you yet, but I think you can hear. You can hear the kind of conversations that are going on in the chat room. Layla says, "Me, I always tell Habinti, what you akanta wanya." It's not very easy actually for people to sort of come out and tell. And now Naima Kayira says, but men don't tell their women akwana akawara or another woman. Well, you can't say that. I don't think you would. You would come to your wife and say, then that's a different story. Maybe you might be able to reveal that. iPhone says, Mr. Keke, relate this issue with the verse that says, wala tajassasu against the Qur'an. Agaye toketa ke tatono nyereza. Wala tajassasu, the verse that the person is quoting here. This sounds so much like Musa saying, go Sheikh. Lisa says, Naima, would you really want your man to tell you? Fair enough. That's coming from a woman. Abdul Karim Mugabe says, jealousy is mental cancer in a relationship, especially to our ladies. Now, I love the conversations. Faisal Biekwaso says, respect, respect, respect. Why don't you get me, Faisal? Please get me Faisal Biekwaso on here. Let's have that conversation on the respect. It looks like he's saying it is ring-fenced. The phone is ring-fenced. You shouldn't. It's the restricted area that you shouldn't go to. Get me Faisal Biekwaso, please, Ustad, if you're there. Faisal Biekwaso.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I saw the emphasis in the three words. In journalism, actually, when we emphasize, Tony Blair came and he was talking education, education, education. Now you're coming, that emphasis is actually very big. Respect, respect, respect. What is to do with respect with the phone?
I personally think a phone is something personal to someone. So if you're going to go into someone's phone, you either have their permission to go into it or you just leave it alone. I'll give you an example.
Yes.
Everyone's got a life where they've got different friends, right?
Yeah.
For example, you could send me a message, Sheikh Kassim, and tell me, this is an amana, this is a secret between me and you.
Yes.
The moment my wife comes and opens that phone and sees that message between me and you, it's no longer a secret, is it?
The amana is no longer there.
It's no longer there. When you think about it this way, that, for example, especially with women, sometimes they send each other pictures. Oh, how do I look in this buyer? How do I look in this? If I went and checked my wife's phone and saw her friend, who maybe that friend is my friend's wife or someone, so I'm going to see her without hijab. I'm going to see her, in a state which her husband wouldn't want anyone to see. So it's a lot deeper than just the whole cheating thing and this and that. To me, it's more about respecting that person's privacy and knowing that, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted you to know it, if they're cheating, trust me, you'll find out. Going through the phone, you could find anything that's ambiguous, to be honest. There are very many messages, especially, I'll give it, for some reason, I don't know, especially the girls in Uganda, the way they talk, subhanallah, even, your own cousin, there's like a message, now imagine that cousin your wife doesn't know. She's like, I
would love to take on the women. Becca Chinji is saying, Becca, go ahead. Let's hear from you while Faisal is still there. Why? What's your view on this?
No, seriously, Sheikh Kayira, if you go looking for something, you'll always find it.
Yeah.
Once you're looking for something.
It might actually not be something that they are looking for. They might just be wondering. And in wondering, you just come across something.
Whenever you wonder, you get lost, and you get lost into things that don't concern you.
Crossing into forbidden territory.
Exactly.
Yes.
So, my advice is don't go. I remember Sheikh Muzata one time I was at a wedding in Uganda. Allah, I'm Saturday.
May Allah
he says that a lady, a man's phone, you're meant to actually put it on a sauce, that small plate, put another sauce on top of it and take it to him if the phone is ringing.
Isma, if you can have that clip next, actually, I think Becca raises it. It will just lead us naturally and nicely into that conversation where we can continue the conversation. Yes, Becca, go ahead, please.
So my advice is don't go looking or don't go snooping, because even like Faisal said, once you're looking for something, your mind is already insinuating something, so you're definitely going to find something, you're going to find something that's not going to be what you think it is. And at the same time, you might react to the point whereby you're going to actually turn things sour that could.
But what you just say to someone like Naima Kayira here saying, but why be secretive about your phone? It has never made sense if you have no secrets. So it means you have secrets. And if you are keeping secrets from your spouse, maybe then you should start questioning the relationship itself.
No, a phone is a personal space. Normally people have a room where you go and just chill.
Would you compare that with the toilet, for example, if you go into a room of convenience?
That's a different story now.
No, what I mean, when you talk about personal space, because when you go into that one, it's a place of convenience where you can only be there by yourself. Regardless of whether you love each other so much.
Yes, because nowadays phones are diaries, In a phone, I'll type everything up, I need to say everything. Let's say I have things that are on my mind. I might put them in my phone, type them down just so that I can relate to later on, or just to remind me of something. But then there are certain things whereby that's my own space. It's like you invading my space,
So I think Hajara seems to agree with you, because she's saying going through the phone is pressing a chizimbe chitanatuka kwenye gewa. Oba wetu muntunuka.
But
I think Lisa is raising an interesting point here. She's saying maybe you borrowed Habi's phone to make a call, and then the side chick calls or sends a message that crosses the boundary. You may not be snooping, but the information comes to you. But
Sheikh Kassim, a message could come through.
Yes, Faisal, please go ahead. Yeah.
A message could come through. Yes, yeah. I understand. For example, I think you mentioned it at the beginning, or someone else mentioned it. We work in spaces where there's women and men. Yeah. You could have someone who's hitting on you. Right. Someone sends you a message that she reads, but hasn't really seen the trail of that message where you've been saying no, 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 no.
Yeah, but maybe she would have thought that you would have shared that information. Narongo says so. That you should come and share information that someone is hitting on you. I wouldn't want to know who is hitting on her. But
No,
I
she
wouldn't,
wants.
I wouldn't share that personally unless it gets out of hand. Then I would be like, okay, can you help me deal with this? But if it's something that I can deal with,
Faisal, Samsung is saying, why are you keeping it in your phone? Delete it if you're not interested. Don't keep the trail.
well, you need the trail for evidence in this situation, don't you?
Evidence to take her to court or the court of public opinion.
Hey, in court, I'm trying to kutuza na kubuza, and then they ask you, oh, but if you said no, how come there's no message saying that you said no? You know,
Right.
so you have to think ahead.
Faisal and Baker, lots of men on here. I'd rather hear from the women now because actually many of them are sort of very busy in the chat room. I think I'd rather just have a feel from them. Jamila, I can see you. Jamila, please, I'd like to hear your phone story. Jamila. Gone quiet. Kauthar's iPhone. Kauthar, please unmute yourself.
Shay, ladies have no phones.
Now?
Abachate balina masimu.
Bainati. Let's hear from Hajara. And when the conversation was actually getting heated. We have lots of men, and I'd like to hear from the women's side. Hajara, if you can unmute yourself, please. Hajara, thank you very much. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Conversation on phones and trouble.
The funny story is I have no issues with no man's phone.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't bother me.
Right.
Because when it comes to a phone, like everybody's saying, it's private. And most times when you snoop, you read too much into things that are not what you think, because as women, our minds go wild. As much as a man tries to tell you, I'm not doing this, you're not going to believe it, because like Faisal said, if somebody sends you a text message, most people in Uganda now say, mukwano, and people will misinterpret that word mukwano, because mukwano actually in Chiganda sense, mukwano is mukwano, not,
Yes.
So I have no issues, but the bit is, you brought this topic. My son just schooled me on a few days ago. I picked up his phone and he asked me, Mom, why are you picking up my phone? And I was like, what are you hiding? I'm not hiding anything, but it's private. My phone is private. He picks up my phone whenever he wants to. But when I picked his phone up, it became a problem. So I think it goes to show it's private.
Yeah.
Just stay away from it. If, like I said, if you don't want to get hurt, stay away from it, because you go searching, you'll find.
Maybe the question would be, what are women actually looking for? Is it just about cheating, or would it be something else?
Women, we are looking for anything.
And anything meaning what?
It may not necessarily be a man cheating. But the fact that when I walk into the room, or when somebody walks into the room, they start saying, yes, okay. I may ignore it for the first time, or I'll call you back later. You can only say, I'll call you back later for so long until somebody starts questioning. There must be something. Why is it that every time I walk in, this person says, I'll call you back later? So that's you opening the door for a woman to dig. So continue with your conversation, and then she will disappear. But if we only snoop if you give us that room to snoop. That's my take.
Thank you very much, Hajar.
Thank you.
I'd like to hear from Jamila. Jamila, you went quiet. Jamila. Let's try Kauthar. Hey, it's suddenly gone. Oh, what go America? Hasfa, I'd like to hear from you, please. Welcome to our conversation. I'd like to hear your take. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Esimu y'omusajja ekwatibwako oba togikwatako?
Sigikwatako. Why set myself up for a heart attack? I don't want to know. I think it all comes down to trust. I trust you, whatever you're doing behind my back, if it is okay in your conscience, then so be it. But if I pry, that means I'm setting myself up for something that may be bigger than for me to handle.
Well, someone here in the chat room says women are looking for answers and that's why they pry.
Well, everybody has their own, everybody has how they handle their own relationships. But personally, even if my husband's phone rang, I look at it, I walk away. I rarely probably even give it to him. Maybe I'll call his kids, one of the kids, and say, hey, give daddy his phone.
Take your phone to the daddy.
Take daddy's phone. I don't even want to look. No, I don't want to look. I don't want to know. Give me the respect. I know the password, which is fine. I just don't want to. I put that in my brain that it's just something that line that I don't want to cross. And I have never had a reason to.
Is it important for couples probably to have a conversation around how they would manage their phone? Because sometimes it almost feels like it's an automatic thing. You've sort of assumed that the person, won't be checking your phone or not. Is it good? Does it make sense to sort of set boundaries for yourselves as a couple? I won't be checking your phone. I'm hoping that probably won't check my phone. Or should it just be assumed as a natural sort of progression?
I think it all starts with how you start your relationship. If you're having an affair, for instance, and you're married, and you're having an affair with somebody, or you're cheating on your partner, whatever, and you end up being together, that means if you were snooping when that person was in a relationship, you have the suspicion that it's going to continue. So then you will have more reason.
Now, with more reason, sorry, Hasfa, if I seem to be interrupting you mid-sentence, but Faisal here in the chat room is saying, imagine you come into the room and he's on the phone, and the next thing he says is, I'll call you back later, my wife is here. Respect for the wife when she walks into the room. Would that cause you to actually take interest in this particular conversation? Or would you say, it's I didn't hear that and allow it just to pass? Could it be one of the reasons that give people reasons to want to find out?
No, I don't. It wouldn't be a reason for me. Manyati, okay, Katit, we are in our time, our space. So he's respecting that time and the space to give me the attention that I need.
Yes.
So Wasigala on the phone, that might also be rude, for instance, if he was at home all day. But even then, I think it all boils down to trust. Personally, that is what I say. Okay.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Umutahan, I can see you're up. Thank you very much, husband. Umutahan, your take on this. Should we snoop? Should we check? Do you check husband's phone? Hello? I can see you're unmuted, but then you've gone quiet. Mariam, Texas, are you at work? Mariam? Okay, I'll go back to the men. Faisal, are you still there? Or Becca?
Assalamu alaikum.
I'm here.
Wa alaikum salam wa
Yes, I'm still here.
Oh, is it Mariam? Hold on 1 second. We just got Mariam, Texas. And Samsung 9, I'll be coming to you after hearing from Mariam. Esimio Musajja.
Sheki, wallahi tenkwatako wadde mukama. Nze ne bwevuga simugamba nti yavuze.
Olwo bwayitibwako akalimu ak'amaanyi ke yabifunye.
Ako kaba kamuyiseeko bwe mba nga sibaddeewo kyandibadde kitya teyandikafunye Allah aba amugeredde kaba se kake naye bwe kaba kake aba ajja kafuna. I assume that if I'm not there, essimu ye ekwata ku ye. Abalala abantu baabwe baba nga batumanyi fembi bwe batamufuna ku ye bajja kuba kuyange. So no. I don't care. Nze ne bwevuga simugamba nti yavuze. So that is comfortable. I don't even remember that it rang at all.
Waliwo anaye kwasa agamba mbu they check the phone to see if you are okay ngate woolya.
If you're okay.
Mbanja gakula woli okay.
Nze ngendera ddala nendabagga omuntu okulaba essimu.
I think you would agree there with Ibn Muhammad here who says checking the man's phone without his permission is haram. That is actually now bringing in the religious aspect to that. Kyoti ekinene kyeki Mariam obutatunula mu ssimu.
Simanyi naye nze sirina simu ya muntu gye ntunulamu. Mba manyi tenkwatako. Oli bw'aba akubye aba takubidde nze akubidde ye.
Tosuubira nti naye ku yo tajja kukwatako.
Ku yange sifa ate ye yange bw'evuga agindeetera naye nze I've never thought of it nti nno ndabe eyiye. Kubanga baba tebakubidde nze. Kati mba siraba lwaki.
Bagambye gwe you are a good wife ye comment ejja ennyo nnyo mu chat room bakuwaana buwanyi. Mariam, thank you very much. Actually katonda agenda maybe do you think between couples why no kubeerawo conversation by deciding how to handle the phone issue? Kubanga olabye it's a bit of a divisive issue. Some people say they want to check the phone. Others are saying they don't check the phone. Do you think wasanyi wabeerewo sort of a moratorium, a sort of an understanding on relationship with the phone? Ngabe mutulane mu discussing ku byesente zawaka be mugenda okola. Do you think wasanyi wabeerewo conversation regarding how to handle phone?
I don't think it's necessary. I don't think so.
You don't think so?
Yeah.
Okay.
Me as a person, I don't care what happens with his phone. Kubanga bw'aba ne anything kyayagala okunkweka, he can as well okwogera ku simu ye nga n'afuluma ebweru oba bw'abeera mu office ye n'ayogera byonna by'ayagala. So why do I worry kyayogeredde awaka oba bamukubidde ng'ali waka?
Yes.
So that's why I don't care, and I don't think it's necessary to discuss. It's the list on my list, my worries.
Your worries. Barakallahu fikum. Naye munnaye anti akagera akaganda ke kali ke nagambye nti balugera dda nti lwotowo n'ennyoko lwakutenda okumira. Maama w'omuntu eva abeera amuwakanira naye ku luno lwe banakukwata byebyo nti essimu asobola ozikubira mu ofiisi asobola ozikubira wa ayinza oba nga gyali eyo baafuna dda akaana ng'akaana kalwadde baagala mumutegeeza ekiba kibe. Aye n'ekirala mulimu akajanja k'abakyala bano ab'ebbali abo side dish balina akajanja balina batuuka nayagala apushinge boundaries, and you've seen cases where wasalawo provoking emukwawulira ekinavaayo. That might actually lead to problems, but I think that is a conversation for another day. Thank you very much, Mariam in Texas. Samsung 9, if you can unmute yourself, please, to let your gap. Yes, Samsung 9.
Assalamu alaikum. Simanyi
wa alaikum salam.
Ensonga erabika eri very sensitive nnyo naye nze ngamba nti
Sheikh Suleiman ogera n'ojja mukama omuntu n'atamanya nti kwola ogira muzicoded sayisa okulaba ku program sebo. Yes, obadde oga nti ensonga eri sensitive.
Ensonga erabika eri sensitive naye nga teyandibadde.
Yes.
Kubanga I think bino n'embeera eyo okutuukawo there is a build up to that. From the very onset, wabanga element of dishonesty. Then everything is going to be wajja kubeerawo embeera ejja okutandika okulaba nti what used to be a simple thing, a normal and everyday life in the family, bitandika okukyuka. Mukadde waffe mujjukira ndowooza mukadde waffe Sekamuzi alina bamu recording yali annyonnyola abantu waliwo engeri gyali ayogezaamu abantu batandika okwogera ku masimu ng'omukyala waali ng'awuunawuuna. Kati embeera eyo bwetandika okuyingira mu gundi mu bantu n'esooka eyingira omwo kwegamba eta relationship. Naye nze ndowooza, yes, the question, answer your question eri nti no. If you are using the word snoop, then snoop will never bear a positive meaning at all. So that should not be, and there should not be.
But snooping in this perspective, Sheikh, is about the temptation to want to. Yes.
I think snoop comes about when there is something of suspicion. Let's mind what brings about this suspicion. When suspicion is justified, then it's not just suspicion.
Women are suspicious by nature, whether you like it or not. Babera mwaka kantu Allah karok mwekali yako yakatika mu aka suspicion. Ayagara tayagara.
ekintu ekyo nno kizibu kya kudifendinga kubanga kiri buli side zonna era simanyi Allah simanyi batu tumwogedde ekitundu yakateekamu nti bo bali suspicious. I don't think so kubanga Allah about addressing a suspicion, okay? Agamba nti no Allah agambye nti
wala tajassasu wala yaghtab ba'dukum ba'd.
No, ya ayyuhalladhina amanu ijtanibu
kathiran min adh-dhann.
Egyo njagala okwogera ki mwewali nnyo okubeera nga muli so much suspicious kwega kiri ekyoga nti oyinza okulaba kino kinterpreting ngeri obukyami kyo kisoboka naye bwe mbanga nze ndi clear and I can talk about it freely, then I have no problem okubeera nti n'essimu yange eri readily available for anyone okula kyajagala. Oyinza okugamba nti essimu ogitaddeko password every single naye Mungu agenda kugerera obeere gy'oli Sheikh Kassim wa nze wallahi nga weetaaga information eri mu ssimu nga ekateri muntu okugyako mukyala wabula tugamba nti bino bye twogera bizimba community yaffe oba bigigaidi nga tuyinza okukimisleading nga tugamba nti yes no kirina okubaawo kyetugezaako okugamba nti tugezeeko okubeera nga tuli very open eri abantu baffe bwetulanga obulamu bunyuma nnyo obufumba amaka ganyuma nnyo nga bw'ova eri bank statement ne zigwawo payslip ne zigwawo nga tolina kyeweeralikira nti ya rabbi ojjukidde oli ku 20 la ilaha illallah essimu nebenda bange erimu password 10 ogenda kukola mistake emosindika emessage enkyamu gisindikire mukyalawo obuzibu bwewe tucreatinga embeera nga tuli very trustworthy. Nze ngenda ngamba abaana ngamba omuwala wange nemugamba nti njagala ompe ku gundi ku ssimu yeeyo n'agimpa newemba nga sigenda gitunulamu nga njagala kuba bukubi ssimu naye bw'abanga amanyi nti nno mulimu ekintu ekijja okunkaluubira ojja kulaba nga asikatira naye bwe tuba nga tucreatinze katwogere kakati mbeera ey'obufumbo tugezeeko okubeera nga tubuildinga trust nga ssenga wange bwagaye kasa trust I think is the most invisible intrinsic element of a successful marriage. Kase bange evuddewo ne bw'okubawo million n'ogiwa omuntu.
Suleiman, there is an issue. Musa Wano in the chat room is saying, what if the husband is talking to a future second wife and he gets accused for cheating when he's not? Well, you're getting accused of cheating. Trust in a way to would you get to the point of having to discuss the possibility of a second wife with your first wife, with the existing wife? I think that's where the issue of privacy now comes in.
Ekyo nja equatinga ng'omuntu alidde mu kisiibo ne bamulaba nga abantu baga nti bano ali ate mu kisiibo ne seeko mulamba kati yo obutamanya nti okulyako kiyinza okuba nga talidde lwakuba nti avudde kisiibo naye ng'alina ensonga wabula alina okulowooza bwe mba ngenda kukola kintu kino nga nja kwogera mu maaso g'abantu abaliwo is it the right time okubeera nga njogerera mu bantu bange bwe mba nga time weeri nsobola okukyogerako bwe banambuuza nja kidefending nga kipresenting then that's okay okyokwogera n'omuntu gw'osuubira okuwasa tekiri haramu wabula nina kunoonyayo engeri nkikola nti bwe ndaba nga tekijja it's not the right time okukireeta kwegamba mu maaso g'omuntu gwemanyi nti ayinza okitegeera obi oba tali ready for it then it is my fault nze creating the situation yeeyo nga boolaba omuntu anacreatinga situation bamukubidde essimu n'afuluma naye komawo gambe nti mukama wange abadde nfunda tulina confidential issues ku mulimu amanye nti okay ekiwulidde akati kubanga kino ekijjawo ekyokugamba nti abakyala bakina naffe tukiyina gwe singa tebeeza omukyalo omuwala myaka 18 19 ali ne bbaawo ne bamukubira essimu neevuga nga eddoozi nga lya musajja n'addukawo n'agenda emaali ayinza okuba nga boogera bintu bya mulimu naye bw'abanga gye naga nti omwami ono abadde tube tudiscassinga issue ennamba yiino bwe kiba kyetaagisa naye tubadde tudiscuss issue of confidentiality kubanga ekintu bwe kiba nga kiri confidential naye oba oli waka tokkirizibwa kubanga okidiscassinga n'abantu abakola ki ndowooza tulina okumanya nti it's not a question of kinjogerako kituufu bakikyamu naye how I deal with it wabula nga bwe tugee snooping mbi naffe okukola ekintu ekiyinza okubeera nga kireeta suspicion ng'ate kikyamu naffe tuba tukoze kikyamu kati we can't run away from it.
Are there no particular private affairs, private matters omuntu zalina okwesigalizaamu ng'omuntu kubanga waliwo okutuuka nti omuntu muri mu relationship mukyalawo husband wife omuntu yeeyanika yenna n'otabaako keweerekerayo?
I don't know what is private bwe kiba nga private nga kiri halal that's okay eriyo matters oba nga zigezi financial private matter that is understandable naye siraba bwe kiyinza kuleeta bugundi ne ngamba mukyala wange nti it was a private matter and but then you discussing an omuntu ajja kitegeera where there is a trust and honesty it is a private matter of course you can't dig into it kubanga it's private nenga it doesn't matter tekitegeeza nti kinaabeeranga private mu bufumbo kijja ku arousing suspicion si bwenyinza okirowooza kasebanga trust ne honesty nga weebiri.
How would you say to this person who says when men check women's phones it is referred to as controlling behavior, but if women do they are just protecting their interests?
Well, kakati anti kirekire nzo okukwata essimu n'enchecking essimu y'omukyala bwe mbanga nnoonyaamu nti no balina relationship then that is suspicion gye twatandikiddeko okiwulidde bwe banga it's a suspicion I don't have bwe mbanga nina evidence then I just have to address the matter straight away. Maybe I don't seem to have a good answer to it.
Yeah.
Nzendo byombi they all draw from the same source. First of all, government is a control freak.
We fear acid, so we have to check the phones. Zamzam Mwanga is saying me at the moment. He talks about a second wife. That would be it. Ngachigadde. Chiwanuka's iPhone mkono na maguli wa guru. Sheikh Sulaiman barakallahu fikum seo for that very beautiful contribution. I'm sure it has informed our conversation as we go. Just to remind you, the program is Come Let's Talk with me, Kassim Kayira, and we are live on 75W Radio as well as live on Zoom and on YouTube via UMMA Connected. Chiwanuka, I'm trying to get you to. Yes, please. Chiwanuka, go ahead, please.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi
wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Mbala musizako mwena abatesi banange mwebale kuno musomo gutulo wemyoyo yewanika dajja karuba.
Mujisige sije ku mizigo ya rabbi gibone.
Abantu bongeza malobozi bongeza. Aya. Seka.
Yes.
Okay, emanyi ezina embozi abantu tuzitwala ngambozi nenga wallahi za education twaji olusi tuina bamaseka abatuliyo wemoyo ne tukabane mutufunire ngemisomo egituliyo abavuka naddala abana agenda mbufumbo babereko n'ekintu kye bamanyi naye njagadde msharingera mwe akantu ke nali nkula Museveni nga yakawambao twaina nga senga fenga mumbejanga fena tuyita basenga naye lumu muganda wafe yagenda nakuba omukazi omusenga oli kyamuyisa bubinyo namuyita mwana wange kikulo kyangu wano basenga mujje ayina ekintu kyeyayogeranga n'okukaba yagamba abaana bange nti abakazi batulimba bulimbi natta n'eddoboozi fena ne tuyimirira wadde nga twali bato naye twayagala tuwulire naga nti omukazi tebamukuba nti mulaba mukodomi wa moyo semayiri nti wallahi yamumba layirira ebintu byanimba nga nzije wamulangira nakati abinimba nenzikiriza omulimbangako tomukubanga omulimba ffe tukkiriza kati ekintu kino nina lwaki nkyogedde nti oba kale omulembe gutu yuziza ne twerabira nabwa gye twava nti ekintu kino nze nalirooza nti omuntu watukira okubanga essimu etulwanya omusajja oba kale kankitwalire ku musajja nze kuba yesaidi gyentegeera nti omusajja wotandikwa bw'oba kale osobola okufuna omukazi ebweru n'omuwa n'essimu n'akuba ewaka ng'oli ne mukazi wo nze mba ndowooza bayinza okubaawo eyiza obutakkaanya obw'amaanyi ennyo oba ng'omusajja akyaye omukazi ow'omu nnyumba
ne Kiwanuka waliwo ekibaawo nti kiragambibwa basaidi kiiki bano baba namba 2 potential baina akajjanja n'akeesimiikirizo nti kasita atandika ebintu abijjanja wazza n'akakkananga asaze eddiiro akadde ke yabadde alina okukubira yakeereye yagenza okugira ziwezeemu ate nga wayingidde edda waka n'ata respecting a boundary nekijja obanga betwagambye lwotowone actually waliwo eyangerera akagero k'ensingo k'enjagala ennyo ennaku zino yaŋŋa nti ezinaggwawo ne bwokoze ebbali omanyi era zijja kuggwawo mu siyaani ne bwokoze ebbali era zimala ne ziggwawo
naye seeka waliwo ekintu nze kyenzikiriza nti ffe Allah nkimanyi nti abasajja yatuwa ability ey'okubanga osobola okumoldinga omuntu wo n'atambulira mu kisinde ky'oyagala omutambuliramu kyoyagala atambuliremu. Nze nkimanyi nkirowooza nti bw'oba kale olina kale omuntu gw'otandika kati kutwale bw'otyo gw'oyagala okuwasa owokubiri bw'oba amugamba nti kino bwe kirina okubeera nsuubira nti bw'aba akwagala era nga nekyoliko okyagala kitambule bulungi mba nkimanyi ajja kitambulirako naye mmanyi nti abasajja oluusi tuyitira kisinziira omuntu oyo bw'oba omutandise gwe n'otandika n'omuwayo gundi nti agwe kuba ine time ekintu ekyo nsuubira naffe abasajja tulina role to play kale abakazi I don't know naye nze mmanyi
waliwo okwogeza amababba nga mahabba gakutta olimu olusuubiza future ejjana ku nsi
eyo bansobi y'amaanyi unless nze nga bwe ndowooza nti ewaka wano wayinza okubaawo ebikyamu byoyagala nti oli omutegeeza n'omutegeeza nti if you thought I can do it I can do it naye bwe kibaga ddala amaka matereevu ng'ewaka oyagalawo naye yes oyinza okuba nga oyagala omukazi owokubiri nandikirowozeza nti olina boundary olina ebintu by'osettinga nomuga nti ABC ate n'abitambulirako ne mukkaanya.
Barakallahu fikum. I'm just trying to bring in more people in the conversation. Shakira, can you unmute yourself, please? Shakira, I want to hear a lot from the ladies. I think the men are coming up pretty strong. I want the women now who would speak for the women. We've had quite a number that have been quite strong in their positions. It would be interesting just to hear. Shakira, are you there? Mashudi Sebagara, Dabayo Musajjo Murara ya Rabbi. Yes, Mashudi, unmute yourself, please. Is it Masudi or Mashhud? Unmute yourself, please. Okay, Mashhud. Welcome to Let's Talk with Kassim, Kayira. Just to remind you, we've got people who are not Luganda speakers. So if you can, it is perfectly fine in a conversation you have to defend. But wherever possible, please, if you can do Kasavu Kanyama mix up so that we don't lose some of those people who are not English speakers. I'm already getting messages to that effect.
I get your point, yeah.
So
first of all, I would just like to thank you about this program. It's really, really interesting and it's really vital, especially in our community. So when you look at the issue of the phone, for me, I would just say that there are already some issues which really bring up people to put, for example, passwords in their phones or to hide their partners to look into checking their phones. But the main thing is, as long as there are some issues in the family, there are some issues in marriage, you find that all sorts of stuff are going to come in. What I would think is, the moment we know that, my partner doesn't want this, or he or she doesn't want this, I think it's better to do away with that. We shall be very, very pleased with that. But my question is, what if now because the Quran allows more than one wife, so how are we going to do, how are men going to do so that they can at least be communicating maybe to get a second wife? So Shay, I leave that question for you so that you can explain, because at the end of the day, yes, I'm telling you, it's not easy for ladies to know about that. Not all of them like it. It's maybe by nature. Not all of them will like even to hear about it. But how are men going to do so that they can be able to get maybe, for example, a second wife? Thank you very much.
Brilliant. Barakallahu fikum Chiwanuka. HBN yomukono ndaba guli waggulu gwocha. Go ahead, please. Welcome to Come Let's Talk with me, Kassim Kayira. Live on 75W Radio as well as on Zoom via UMMA Connected, and we are streaming live on YouTube. HBN.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi
wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to the program.
Nziza program eno, thank you. Mbadde si wakwogera naye omwami yavudde waggulu yanzikeeyo. Ekikulu kya byonna, bw'oba olina abakyala basukka mu omu, olina okuba n'obwongo obusobola okufuga abakyala bano. Tojja kuddira territory y'oli ate okubiremu amasimu ag'omukyala oli. Gwe ng'omwami plan your staff, ya bw'oba oli mu maka ga mukyalo ono y'abeera aliwo essaawa eyo. By'obadde olina okuwuliza olina bikola nga tonnayingira waka wano. kati olina okuba n'obwongo obusobola okufuga amaka agasukka mugamu. Ebintu bwe bityo bye bisinga okutabula abakyala. Ne mutandika okuwoza abakyala babi, tebabaagaliza biki mwe kennyini mu abatabula abakyala. Kati ku nsonga y'essimu, nze ng'omuntu, essimu nze kwegamba tembazaringa nange nninga Sister Mariam. Nze yange ne bwe ngyerabira nga gye ŋŋenda kwegamba ŋŋenda kukeerewa, bwe mba nga sirina nnyo kola eri important, njireka ne ŋŋenda ne ngisanga luvannyuma. In fact, abaliwo ewaka ne mugamba ginzigireko naagisanga. Bwe mba like nina omuntu omulala gwe nsobola okukozesa essimu y'okkuba. Naye nze waliwo incident eyantuukako, naye kyannuma ng'omuntu, gamba nalaba nga omusiraamu almost atutadde at risk of getting an accident because of a phone.
What happened?
Abaana nga bw'obalaba, omwana omu yali alina kageemu kazannya ne kamunyumira n'ayagala okusharingako ne banne. Kaakati omwana omu atudde mu maaso, omulala atudde mabega. Kati nze ali okumpi n'ono gwe baweereza essimu. Ono aweereza munne essimu naye azannye kageemu. Nkwata essimu ngiweereza omwana owookubiri. Omusiraamu yatta steeringi abuuka okukwata essimu ne ŋŋamba inna lillahi wa inna ilaihi raaji'uun. Ne ŋŋamba naye musiraamu, ebbanga lye mbadde naawe toyinza kutegeera nti nze sirina budde bwa ssimu. Ondabye I'm just passing over the phone to the child. Naye embuuka gye yabuuka yandaga nti essimu yali mu kasasiro.
Essimu zino mitego, Habib.
Essimu yali mu kasasiro. Kati ekyo kakyandaga. Olulala yeerabira wa gy'atadde essimu. Ngenda bathroom, omusiraamu yankonkona. Bannange ng'oluggi kati alukuulemu. Ne ŋŋamba musiraamu kiki? Yali yakava mu bathroom ne nnyingirayo. Bannange yakuba oluggi. Ne muggulira. N'aŋŋamba essimu yange. Ne ŋŋamba wano tewali ssimu naye jangu okebere. Okakase nti ki? Teriiyo. Agenda okebera nga ssimu teriiyo, yali yeerabidde wa waagitadde. Ngamba subhanallah.
Habiba, abantu obasenseko chatroom yonna neekutta omuliro right now. I can tell you, bonna bali ku kibubaga nti oyo teyali good player. Yali tamanyi kuzannya, yayazannya basatu ku bbali.
Ate nga nze siina na budde bwa masimu. Ate nga kugamba password biki byonna nga yabiŋŋamba mbimanyi naye nga nze siina budde bwabyo.
Wakati w'abafumbo.
Abiŋŋamba kubanga akimanyi nti sigenda bikebera.
Wakati w'abafumbo, do you think there should be some protocol regarding management y'essimu y'amasimu? Gwe ku lulwo tokifaako naye olowooza wakati wa, because I think part of why we have these conversations is that we should leave the conversation with probably a new mindset. So you are the only one who is living through that. You come into a conversation where we share, we hear your experience, for example, where yakoze accident, all these I think are telling, and someone it might help to change the mentality of Ubuntu. Do you think going forward there should be a kind of discussion, conversation relating to how phones should be managed, or what is natural according to you?
I think there should be some kind of conversation, especially when it has to do with talking on the phone when it is family time. Kubanga bwe mutakyogerako ogenda okulaba waliwo abantu abajja ne bayingira mu budde bwammwe.
Yes.
Bayingira mu budde bwammwe, obudde bw'olina okubeera ne famire yo, ate bali abantu babutwala away. Kubanga omuntu oba omuyinaawo live kyekyandisiza okuba ekirungi, naye kati bali abataliiwo ate era batwala time yammwe. Kubanga nze time bwetuuka nga time omwami wange azze, essimu yange ngiwummuzaawo era baddamu okunkubira, mbawuliza luvannyuma kubanga banjagala like muwe time ye.
Time esigale nga yawaka effective.
Kati tuba tulina okubyogerako nti amasimu maybe bweziti. No, unless it's an emergency or something like that.
Barakallahu fikum HBN. Raihan is saying here, men need to upgame their emotional intelligence to run more than one household. Unfortunately, abasinga obuwongo bunafu, otherwise ebyokuwasa multiple wives tebyandi batawanyiza. Most women with some level of understanding will deal with being in a plural marriage with the right handling and implementation is in place. Ekitali ekyo abasajja bakyagwa nnyo mu bikopo. Rawda, you are actually unmuted. I think I was coming to you next and you've disappeared all of a sudden. Rawda, if you're there, please unmute yourself. Rawda. Alaila kaddu nkulaba omukono guli waggulu leka tugende naawe ku masimu ago nsubira siba nabuddu.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Esimu y'omwami otulako namulabye kwali tomuli wayiriza.
Naye ekyo ky'essimu kino seeka kimanyi okuleeta obutu ate akasimanyi okumisplitinga o message tusomye. Ate nyini kamwa kwogera ate ekintu odde mu kuzibu. Ampita ne jjajja Zaidi oyo. Nagala neefuna message neesoma message nti tugendeko out. Nawe nakoma nekabuka. Kasima byaddako ani bagenda naye out samya nafuna wuudi. Netandikirawo. Agamba kugamba nti malayo message osome nga ali Kassim gali amugamba tugendeko out. Tubadde oba twa mu lockdown. Naye ng'ebivubo byemuvumyeko si bitono. Naye kati oluusi ogenda mu ssimu ezituleetera obuzibu. Ate oluusi tetumanyi kumalayo message. Etusomako kakuliko. Tetwagala kirala.
Kasowulira ka mitu. Olutalo lutandika.
Miss you ako lotawaana awo nga tukulinda.
Waliwo n'enkozesa y'Uganda gye bakozesa bamukwano dia ng'oyo ali innocent. Naam.
Naye ngubu nasanga message mu ssimu yange. Malayo. Yamugamba malayo message ezo. Yali namuganda Zaidi oyo meti.
Naam.
Kirungi oluusi kwesonyiwa n'ogamba Allah waba agenda kureview era akijjayo. Wata kijja eyo sigalayo eyo tasikakiyinde. Wate natene tulina ebikolobero twali muntu amutuukirivu.
Kyovula banti Allah yatugaana ebintu Allah byobukoze mu kiro n'ovaayo n'ogenda n'obinyumya emisana kubanga the whole idea is Allah bakubikiridde ate gwe n'ogenda weeyanika. I think Jakudako wa Sheikh Sulaiman Chibuka before we conclude this kind of discussion, just to get right over to Sorokfuna, some kind of religious guidance, just in the context here, you're trying to get things up to twelve. Naam, sir. You start there.
Ndabingira aya njagala okuletawo Chibuka najongerezaako.
Naam.
Musatul Maida Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تسألوا عن شيء عن أشياء إن تبد لكم تسؤكم. You're laughing. All you who believe, don't go on asking for things. Bimumani that they are going to cause trouble. They are going to cause you trouble. Yeah. Katigwe, you going in someone's phone. Yeah. Asking questions. Yeah. Wacha yajogere daily. Wacha gerambwa. Wacha fulma. Into the lakum tasukum. And you know when you get the answers, yeah,
the answers might not be very comfortable for you.
I just want you to know Allah in the verse below that one. Allah gamba, yeah. قد سألها قوم من قبلكم ثم أصبحوا بها كافرين. Those before you, maybe you are a second wife. Maybe you are. I got divorced. I married you. It could be the reason why children are agenda. Yeah. That you're doing the same thing, yeah. Now in tubdala kumtasu. The ones before you, so keep it to yourself, keep it private. Let his phone be his phone, and let Allah chat government. And take this verse.
Yeah.
Exactly. Gambia doesn't
Well, Shezaidi, one umuraihani yaga, but knowledge is power. If you know, you can arm yourself. Abdul Karim Mugabe yaga, and we have couples living under watch of Big Brother. The entire house is bagged. This kind of mistrust is nasty. Sheikh Abdul Qadir Kawoya, welcome to Let's Talk with me, Kassim.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Yeah, Munji Jai Mukamori. My intention was not to any comment on that. No, Sheikh Zaidi, of course, I agree with with a lot of what he said. Nayenge eyasoso kunja Mukamori is the Sheikh Sulaiman.
Now,
okay, I agree with the bulk. I agree. The only comment I wanted to make, a little comment, was bweyagambye nti kitutaka okuba ne trust kwegamba wakati w'abakyala n'abaami trust yeetaagisa. Of course kituufu, naye as far as I'm concerned, trust eyo teteekwa kubeera ku ssimu. siya simu eteekwa okubeera mu birala byonna. Ne when it comes ku by'essimu nogikwata essimu y'omuntu ey'omukyala ebeera eya mukyala, ey'omwami ebeera eya mwami, tewali nsonga lwaki omuntu agenda mu ssimu eyo. That is a private territory. Lwaki ngamba bwekityo? Ekingambisa ekyo ffenna wano abawangalire naddala mu nsi zino eza the Western society twogera, we keep talking about equal opportunities, and tumanya nti people have to be given equal opportunities kwegamba we have to exercise that. Naye obanga bakunnyonnyola what do we mean by equal opportunity? Bagamba equal opportunity tekitegeeza nti nti abantu bonna bafuna the same. Naye buli omu afuna ekyo ekikola ki ekimugwanira era kye yeetaaga, era ekijja wabanga omuntu mulwadde yeetaaga kino kirala obulwadde bw'omuntu. Mumpulira?
Yes. Oh, someone is talking in, is bleeding through.
Unmute yourself, please.
Oh, Sheikh Abdul Kadir, worry now.
Mumpulira?
Tukuwulira bulungi ssebo.
All right, so I think you muted me.
Sorry about that.
No problem. Maka g'Abasiraamu abantu wasa more than one, tulina abakyala babiri basatu bana and all of that. And of course, okolera abakyala bo, okolera n'abaana bo in different amaka, different things. Muweerezaganya messages differently. N'ebintu by'oteekera omukyala ono sobanga biri different by'omukyala ono sobola kuba nti toli mwenkanyankanya wabula obwetaavu bwe in order to be bwawukana n'omuwa kino katoyagala.
So it's equitability, not equality.
Exactly, equitability, not equality. Naye kati omukyala ono bw'anaakiraba otegedde ajja kulowooza mu kirala, ajja kugamba nti omuwadde kino ne bireeta omutawaana. Ate nga tekitegeeza nti you will not communicate with the other. Ng'okozesa essimu twayagala babirabe. N'olwekyo omukyala ave ku ki? Ave ku ssimu. Ekyokubiri abakyala twakyogerako dda, abantu tetukkiriziganya when it comes nti bwe tubanga omusajja okoze sente zo omukyala azirabye and all of that, is fine, ayinza oziraba. Naye problem ya kuspendinga. Omukyala ayinza okuba nga tayagala ospendinge ku bantu, ku baganda bo, oba ku basenga abo, oba ku bakojja abo. Alaba nti abo bali wala. Mu kifo ky'okutuwa ssente tulina bye twetaaga, tebwe ssente ogenza kuweerera abaana balala, oba ogenza kuyamba gundi. Kaakati ebyo byonna bireeta emitawaana. N'olwekyo nze ndaba nti olw'ensonga eyo tuteekwa okukola ki? Tuteekwa okumakinga sure nti amasimu g'abantu ne communication zaabwe zibeera private, okuggyako ng'omuntu akoze ki? Akukkiriza
where there's needs.
Yeah, where there's needs.
So it should be based on needs. It should be a needs-based approach to the phone.
Exactly. Or else to just run a bang.
So, do you think it's a conversation that you should have probably earlier on in your relationship? There's an issue here. When people get married, a lady comes with her phone. The man is already having his phone.
Yes.
By the time you chose to marry this one, there were several potentials. You chose to marry this one.
Exactly.
The other ones, the numbers don't get deleted, and so does with the wife as well. I don't buy now and to buy now past history, and probably people that she does not have to discount. But it's not about a relationship. It was a relationship that was business or whatever that has nothing to do with your relationship. So
Yeah.
would it make sense then for everybody to continue carrying their luggage along those ways, or should there be a redefinition upon marriage? Because now there is a phone conversation that has to take place.
That is a very hard question.
Muhammad Ibn Muhammad, any answer to that? Barakallahu feekum. Thanks very much for being a part of this conversation. Ibn Muhammad, you've had the conversation.
Wa alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
It has multiple purposes. I'm going to have your money very private. I told you some sajja asokubanga aine emirimu egyenjawulo gyakulanga biri mu simu eyo mbiri confidential kati mulimu ebintu couples nowa omusajja n'omukazi balina okwagulinya even before marriage. Kati omukyala esimu eno gigumira n'okuba nti amuviira nti excuse me now muvira inzo bembozi jaino kogera sina mukazi mulala but eri government oba eri confidential still na mukazi kana juu wa messages mu simu eyo. So on that note esimu y'omusajja mostly watching mostly y'omusajja yakana ku y'omukazi omukazi ayizo tali kuchusa behaviors ze n'okwebuza what's going on munonya papa so gitegeera then the answer ndagifuna wamu ka musimu ye perhaps answer nza kujija musimu ye. Yeah, so okukebera esimu y'omusajja nkyala kiri mu ngeri y'okuketta oba okulowoleza obubi yandibanga akola bw'ati nga Allah tugaana okulowoleza obubi inna ba'da adh-dhanni okulowoleza okumu kubi lesinkinga zambi something of that kind. So omusajja okukebera esimu y'omukazi I will find it necessary sometimes.
Okay.
I don't know.
As a way of removing doubt. But if one has the right, that means even the other one should have the right as well.
Sheikh integera fitifanagana kubanga
okutegera goina minzani kijogenda okugezesa wanga nabo they have their own. Just to remind you, please, we have people who are not Luganda speakers whenever we can. If it's kwekibasikyebereka waliwo ng'okuyomba mu Luganda kwe tusinga obulungi obujja kuyomba bulungi. That's understandable. But whenever we can, because we have some non-Luganda speakers, just to make sure we have them. Katrina here is saying about those potentials from the past, you should just delete all the potentials. Agreeing with HBN, who says Imam Chaine suggested that the man should give his wife another line to solve such a situation of the potentials from the past who might want to carry on staying on the borderline. Becca Chinji hotly says, Bandang, I have an app. You can retrieve deleted messages if anyone needs it. Isma, could you please play us that clip so that we get people preparing again the last phase, the last 30 minutes of our conversation. This is just a sketch from Anne Kassim, but just paints a picture of part of the discussion that we have been having.
Philip, I told you not today. I told you Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Not those ones. This is your call. Your phone is ringing.
Hello? Yes. Stop. No, it's okay. Me too. Okay.
Who was that? Who was that?
Just a workmate at, someone I work with.
Calling you at this time?
Please. You see, I knew this was going to happen. Do not interrogate me about things that are not in my jurisdiction. I do not work for a telecom company. If you have a problem with phone calls that come at night, people calling me, you just go and petition the Uganda Communications community to put down those phone calls. Don't ask me things I cannot control. I knew this was going to happen. Is it my fault? Am I the one who picked that phone call? Are you the one who picked the phone and passed it on to me? Please. In the middle of the night, you tell them to cut off night phone calls at midnight. All phones are off. Don't stress me. I'm already stressed by the way. You don't know what this person has told me.
What? But I heard you ending up by me too. You know those words, me too. I love you too. Eh? I miss you too. Hmm?
He told me that I am going to work tomorrow. I said, me too. What did you think he had said? What do you think he had said? Don't stress me, Philip. I'm stressed myself. I'm not the one who called myself. Why are we even quarreling? I'm not the one who called myself. Did I call myself? Wasn't I sleeping?
I'm sorry. Good night.
Me too.
Well, that was just to get us thinking. I mean, this is a sketch, of course, but it's a scenario that definitely happens in real situations. You see how a conversation suddenly could change, one, the mood in the environment that you're in, but also importantly, the relationship between, but how you can play with words and still manage to get out of it. And unfortunately or fortunately, the men still lose out, because you can see he ends up apologizing despite the fact that there were very good grounds to have that conversation. Well, Cha is saying it's just a crush, doesn't mean I'm gonna cheat with them. I think that was based on the message that came in regarding people who flirt from workplaces. There are lots of workplace flattery that tends to happen. Nowadays, you can put locks on all important things like WhatsApp, photos, maybe data. That is from iPhone. I think that is increasing the security that we are trying to talk about. Raihan says that abasajja ebbuba libasuza bakukunadde oba lwaki ebbuba munnaye liri natural era omusajja atamubira nsiko ye taliira yenjogera eŋŋanda ndi mu shariya kabisa omusajja atamubira mukyala we ayitibwa ssekibotte aba alina waatuuse. Jajja say trust biki nga tumala bagwamu. Sulaiman Tibuka, if you're still there, I just wanted us to have a conversation leading us towards the exit of this conversation, which seems to have no end in sight. Sheikh Sulaiman Tibuka, are you there?
Yes, Alhamdulillah.
Barakallahu fikum. Now, you've just seen from this particular sketch, and you cannot avoid having the su'u dhann, although husn al-dhann would have been the best place to start from. That is good thought, or sort of stretching your imagination on the basis of what has happened.
I think it can be looked at from a different angle, because what it just confirms is, I think the challenge of dealing with someone, an entity that has got a feeling and emotions. I mean, you can build the strongest machine in this world, a machine that is as gigantic as the London Gherkin. You can control it because it doesn't have feelings, it doesn't have emotions. Emotions, no gender. It could have gone the other way around if the call had come, if the call was the man's call, and the man was murmuring. So, oh yeah, thank you, making those kind of, some kind of, lead kind of, comments and, responses. But what it does, it goes back to the same point that we said, that where there's an element of suspicion, of course, it eats at the heart of what would have been a very successful marriage. And it doesn't matter. We are just talking about a phone, which is just a very, very small fraction of what constitutes, or about the ecosystem of marriage. A man will just come back home with a certain kind of perfume, a certain kind of scent, and that alone is enough to raise a mountain hill of suspicion from his wife. The man will just come back home and say, look, actually, no, I'm not going to have anything. A cup of tea will be sufficient for me this, now. When he left early in the morning, usually he comes back and he has his dinner ready on the table. But on that day, where he left the morning after a small kind of argument and comes back, coincident, I emphasize the word coincident, capital letter, he might have had a genuine or an invitation somewhere, had some kind of dinner. So when you deal with someone, with an entity that has got a soul that is governed by feelings, the way it is going to respond to a visual situation, or just an idea or a feeling or a sense, or the way you behave, is going to be very difficult. That's why it brings me back to the same issue, that sometimes we get in a relationship or we get in marriage just to endorse what has been premised on a wrong footing. People stay in a relationship, in what we call, dating. They could date each other for 2, 3, 4 years. And then later on, they make a decision, we are going to have our nikah, our marriage. Trust me, 5 minutes into that marriage, after conducting the marriage, if a call came, that call can become suspicious because neither party has any confidence in the other. Why? Because yesterday, each one of them knows we were engaged in we had some kind of unlegitimate, unlawful kind of relationship. And that will outlive the entire marriage. So what we need to do is to go back and see how we set the tone for our relationship. If we start, I always sometimes, pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He gives us this kind of families that can have the semblance of a flight. When you have a good flight that takes off well, the expectation, the landing will be good. But imagine a plane took off, and as it was taking off, the gear, just broke off. Definitely, even if it manages to get, to get airborne, definitely, the landing is going to be a 90 to 10 successful. 10 to 90 successful.
Sheikh Sulaiman, what would you say? Raihan here in the chat room says, besides people will do what they do. In fact, the sneakiest people are the ones who are seemingly open. So it's about, again, it's about trust. It's how do we draw that kind of, because I don't think it answers the question as to, should we have a conversation regarding how we would handle our affairs, including the phone? Should the phone conversation be part of the conversation that you have about your future?
I don't think a phone should be part of the conversation, because the phone is just, for me, is a very small, element, in what makes, consolidates the fabrics of marriage or would destroy it. But I would say we need to consolidate, build the trust and the honest before we can think of talking about small issues or big issues, because it's the trust and the love and the honest that actually outlives. When Allah talks about what has built between the husband and wife, He does not talk about big things. He talks about those intrinsic elements. وَجَعَلَ بَيْنَكُمْ مَوَدَّةً وَرَحْمَةً. Love and compassion are going to be the key ingredients of trust and honesty as well. But on top of that, if we get into this relationship, even later, with a good intention, that has got to be shared. Each time, we ask, for example, the youngster, or remember nowadays when you ask us that, why do you want to marry so and so? We always talk about, those, the non-lasting elements, because, she's rich, she comes from this family, because she's beautiful, because she's educated, A, B, C, D. But none of these play a fundamental role, because they always fade out with the time. You can never guarantee that money is always going to be there, or beauty will be there after 30 years, or the family is going to play the key role in the success of marriage. But where we have the fundamental question well answered, it paves way even to find the very simplest of the solution to what to others might constitute the biggest challenges marriage, for example, like a phone.
Right. I was trying to get Katrina in the conversation, because Sheikh Sula stayed there. I think we are wrapping up in a very beautiful way, because I think we are having an entirely new conversation regarding our phones, and we can decide how we want to do it. Do we just let it happen naturally? You've been hiding your phone, and then all of a sudden now you start leaving it around, and Madame sees that even the passwords have disappeared. Or how do we start? Should the trust actually extend beyond the phone? Because when you get to the phone and it's an issue, it means there are other trust issues surrounding that. And I think that's a conversation that as families we ought to have. Hasfa K is saying, I heard of a woman who saw a text on her husband's phone. She passed out, couldn't talk for days. Ibn Muhammad says that kind of love is called Hawa, and it's the blind one. Hood is saying, but why can't women be allergic to men's phones, as they want us to be with their sente yechichara? Ustad Zaid says the Kassim clip is true. When you love someone foolishly, that's what you get. Cause they know ate chinaragawa nga kiryawo Hajara is saying the password can disappear, but the private locked files will stay. Raihan is saying password disappeared. Wapi ako kanyewa. Ladies don't bite. Ndabawo, I wanted to get a lady before I bring in Sheikh Kamre here because I can see his hand is up. And we've always benefited from his wisdom on matters. Tulabe waseka bali esimu baliwo ka message akali kaze konekaleted tab. Waliwo ka message akasobola okukyusa mood yonna. Olunaku lwadde lwa Juma mwategese kapiraawo kali kamaze ogenda ku mmeeza. That one text message just comes to change everything. Why don't I hear from Sania? Sania, please. Sania, if you can unmute yourself. I'll just take you and then go to Sheikh Kamle again. Sania? All right. Kangendewa Sheikh Kamle again. Sania.
Assalamu alaikum
warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I was getting worried that you are either at work or unable to speak. Welcome to the conversation.
Not at work.
You've had every detail that we have gone through regarding phones and husbands and wives. What's your take?
I think everybody's phone should be left alone, really, because I never bother my husband's phone at all. I've never done that. So I think you should leave people's phones alone. Should be private to them. Unless they've given you permission to check their phone. Right. But if they've not, then you shouldn't bother with it. So you keep away from problems.
One of the issues that has been raised is the issue of trust, that if you trust one another, then the phone shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, I always leave my phone there.
Right. So you think, but while you leave your phone, you still think that a phone should be a private matter between whoever owns the phone.
Yes, it should be.
Should you share the password though in case of emergency?
No problem sharing the password. If you share the password for the bank account, why not?
Yeah. Exactly. No, I think I would agree. Thank you very much, Sania, for your contribution. Barakallah. But before you go, maybe we're talking about having a conversation about the phone. Should it constitute relationships? If you're going to get married, should you talk about how you deal with the phones? Sania, I'm sure you missed that.
Hello, I missed that. Sorry.
Yes. No. I was saying, do you think between couples there should be a conversation regarding how they should deal with phones?
Yeah, if it's really an issue, because I've never really had
now we know
discuss.
It can be an issue, Sania. And Katrina here in the chat room is saying, my spouse received a phone call and she asked him if he was hiding in the basement. I felt sorry for him, and that was it. Trust gone. So, in your perspective, do you think, because now we know phones actually cause problems? Yes. So do you think it should constitute part of the conversation going into a full relationship, into a marriage, for example?
Unless there has been a spark, as Lisa has said. But if there's not been a spark, like a big spark for me to realize, then I think it shouldn't be a problem, and there shouldn't be a start of a conversation about it, really.
Okay. Sheikh Kamulegi mukadde wange njagala ebigambo byenjagala ojje nga nkunyweza mbadde njagadde mara okujja abakyala bano mu kkubo. Waliwo omukyala cha oba musajja sirowooza nti mukyala cha, please, and then I'll move to Sheikh Kamulegi.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi
wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
My thinking as a couple, really, waliwo more important things that we should worry about than a phone. Nzenga chacha, if I was otandise kunjogerereza, and really you bring up phone issue, already that's a red flag for me. Kubanga tinandowooza nibadongamba ebintu banga abana bowazalako eno webati, are you gonna be ready to have my children, receive this, talk about finance. Esimu, it's, to me, I think it's something that should come in later.
Chacha, you have seen the conversation you're going to have over the last 1 hour. We have seen people bringing in issues relating to phones, how people hide in places, in funny places to take phone calls, which means it is an issue. Shouldn't it be a conversation? No guy to Kusimu, what I got the simu to the. Are you happy for me to check your phone? Are you happy to check my phone? Shouldn't that could that be a conversation you have?
I would believe that would come in and in the time of communication. Right. How is our trust going to be carried on? Are we going to be an open book? Because kati won't take a restriction kusimu yo. God forbid somebody could get a stroke and you cannot even talk, you cannot even write. Whereby means Sarah, I have to know Muhammad's all passwords. God forbid if he got a stroke, he cannot write, he cannot speak. God forbid if I got a stroke, I cannot write, I cannot speak. And yemuntu yekatobolo to help out. So I believe a phone really for the starting the conversation, it doesn't hold water there. Na communication, how are we gonna communicate? How is the communication gonna bring about our trust? And na get a phone and being hidden password. God forbid anything can happen today. People are getting strokes at 30, at 40. Your wife is the only person who can dig out something to help you and the family at large. So I believe a phone should be an open book. That's my.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Sheikh Ahmed Kassim. Tacha omuide baba dawandura omuliro.
Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin wa salatu wa salamu ala Rasulillahi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Nganda wa Kayira. Ebigambo sometimes ebigambo by'essimu si byangu ng'abantu babyogera.
Bizibu waliddewo
kubanga ku myaka gye mmaze n'essimu kasooka nga zitandika kubeera mu bantu. Essimu zitandise nziraba sigamba nti kintu kibanyumiza obunyumiza. Ng'abamu bwe bazaaliddwa nti weeziri tebamanyi wa gye zaatandikira wabula bwe bwesanze nti babazadde nga musimu ki weegali. Naye nga essimu the fact nti zawula abafumbo. Essimu zirwanyisa abaana n'abazadde awaka. That's how big it is. Era nga bw'owulidde bawanda omuliro n'abalala bakola ki? N'abalala bangi bawanda omuliro ku nsonga eyo nti abantu essimu baagifuula ekirala ate essimu yagenda neefuuka dayale.
Yes.
Okitegeera Kassim? Edda twali tetunnaba kuba n'amasimu ng'omuntu abeera na dayale ye naye ng'okukwata ku dayale y'omuntu ogisome oyinza okulya ebikonde ebingi ennyo. Era oli ayinza okukukyawa olw'okuba wasomye eki?
Diary.
Muyinza
okubaamu n'ekiraamu.
Webale nnyo.
N'okipreemptinga. Ebiraamu tubiteeka mu masimu kati.
Kati mubiteeka mu ki? Mubiteeka mu masimu. Kati obuzibu bwonna how we handle it. Nze ku lwange nalisuubidde nti okumala obuzibu bwawaka obungi ennyo obubeerawo okuzigamba ebyogeddwa. Tuddeyo ku nkola yaffe ki? Ku nkola yaffe enkadde Kassim.
Yeegamba etya?
Ebyama byo byonna gwe byowulira nti byama bijje mu ssimu. Bize briefcase yo teeka mu dayali. Awulidde? Kati essimu ebeerewo bw'otuuka awaka gisuula ogenda mu bathroom onaabe.
Naye Sheikh waliwo okwanguyirwa. Tulina twanguyirwa nti mu ssimu actually ngenda okulaba nze nga topic ya next week already badde ndi mu kugirowoozaako. Wegirowoozezzaako conversation immediate essimu ye eri mu ngalo. Ennaku zino osaba n'omuntu peeni nga tokyagiraba yagenda kuwandika because ssimu erimu notebook mwenyini mwoteeka notes zo nozilookinga n'okuzilookinga n'oziteekako password and you can keep them there. So kakati ogamba nti technology weeraze egezaako okufunza.
Kassim bw'obanga osobola notebook yo mu ssimu okugiteekako password, that is another thing. Kubanga noona tewali nsonga lwaki agenda mu notebook yo. Ekyo bwe nkiraba nze nga oli bw'atwala diary ye nti that is a private thing. Kuvanga tukyali baana bato nga tulaba abantu babeera n'ebitabo byabwe bawandiika ebintu byabwe ne bajjajja baffe babeeranga n'ebitabo byabwe bawandiika ebintu nga tewali muntu n'omu gwakkiriza agenda kubikola ekitabo ekyo kikola kitunulamu. Nze jjajjange yalina black book mwe yawandiikanga ebyama bye nga you can't go and open that book. Yes. Kati bw'oba olina notebook yo mu ssimu yo nga muwandiika ebyama byo, that is your notebook, that is your diary in your phone. Gisibeeko ogiteekako lock, that's the end of the story. Ebisigadde ebikwatagana n'essimu kirekeewo, bw'evuga agikwate oba tagikutte naye nga weeri akugamba nti owa essimu ye evuga.
Masud Sebagara Sheikh Agamanti, I think all those phone issues come up because of many reasons, like lack of peace of mind at home, disrespecting each other, etc. In all, I think we should ignore the phone.
No.
Tikyasoboka.
Bwonna tikikyasoboka olw'ensonga nti essimu twazifuula nti ze zikuuma ebyama byaffe byonna. Etterekero lya buli kimu. Kyovudde owulira nga nti gwe bw'oba olina chance erookinga yowa what? Erookinga yowa notebook n'okisaako kufulu, it's okay. Kati ezisigadde bireke. Kubanga abakyala abasinga obungi bwe baba batunula mu masimu acheckinga kulaba ani yakubidde message gye bakusindikidde.
Gye bangwira okutuuke.
Ebibatuukiramu. Era oli abamu ne message n'agisoma bubi, n'alabako akagambo kamu bubiri, omutwe ne guzimba.
Ogenda ojja omulaga
ogenda okuddayo message yonna agisoma agimaleko ng'akuwadde empi, akwagudde n'ensambaggala ezikoze eki. Okitegeera? Kati okwewala ebyo byonna nze mu kusooka nagambanga abantu nti okwewala obuzibu bwonna n'okuzimba emitwe naki weewala essimu. Era nze that is my way. Sikwata ssimu ya muntu.
Barakallahu fikum.
Era bwe baba ng'evuze obutaagala kumanya ani akubye na kukola ki, ngikyusa upside down ebigambo n'engisulika n'engitwalira nnyini yagyekwatire. Bweviirako omukubu nga muga nti oba omuddira gw'omanyi ebadde evuga.
Barakallahu fikum. Sebo nsigaze dakiika 6. I'm trying to wrap up now. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala
kubeera nti amasimu galeme kufuukira kizibu kiremesa mu bufumbo bwaffe. Maliriza ebigambo byange mu sekendi 2. Essimu tuzitwale nti kyekintu kyosobola okuleka awo muno nevuga n'agikuleetera oba n'agikwata naye nga tugijjemu
nga tumaze kugijja mu biri. Biri bwe biba tebivuddeemu tusigala tukyali gye tubadde.
That is a problem. Era mujja kusigala
Barakallahu fikum Sheikh. Asia here says checking a man's phone is risky. You can see something you don't want to see or not read or not deal with. What you don't know doesn't hurt you. Actually, probably a very comfortable place to be. Aisha says, Musa, there still needs to be a trigger. Chacha is going, Musa, such kinds of people are toxic and insecure and shouldn't be marrying. Hajara says, can you imagine how many journals one can keep since they were 18? Checking anyone's phone is risky. Asia Zamzam Muaga agrees. Katrina says, Sheikh, it will. I don't think that will be. You have sent us where we started from. Sheikh, just a quick one. Just a quick one, please. Because we are just trying to wrap up now.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Bring this topic into this from this side basically. You see phones, for example, especially us people in places of leadership, We have so many people that confide in us, basically. We have so many people that tell us their secrets. We have so many people out there looking for someone to speak to, you know. So someone sends you a message. Like right now, Sheikh Kayira, if I was to know that Hajat KK reads through your phone, I would never send you another. You know, there are messages I would not send you, you know, because there are times whereby you need to send someone a message to ask something that you don't want anyone else to know. Now imagine your wife goes and snoops through this phone and sees these messages. She's gonna start seeing me as a person from a different angle. Then she's gonna start.
Are you sharing a photo of a pouting person?
No, I'm just saying.
Potential number two.
No. I'm just saying, speak proper. There might be someone whereby someone's having a problem at work, a problem somewhere, or they've done something that they regret or they wish they didn't do, but they're looking for advice. Now someone is snooping through the phone, they go and see this message. They go tell someone else, they go tell someone else. Before you know,
Maz is saying, just stop creating an environment that makes your spouse suspect you. Problem solved.
No. It's not about suspect. It's about someone. Imagine, Shekara, someone's told you a big secret and Hajat KK falls on it. Yeah. This is something you're the only person they've told.
No, we as chefs actually receive a lot of personal information where confidentiality is an issue.
Now imagine someone else, this person goes and hears it someone else. Are they ever going to come back and talk to you about it?
They will find it difficult. Becca, I'm only wrapping up because I need to get Ibn Muhammad before we close the conversation.
I'm sorry to interrupt naye nga Becca gondi yalese ntuufu nkulu nnyo kubanga eyo na issue gye bandeeterako era ya nsonga eyo oli bamuwulira security omukyala n'agenda mu ssimu n'agisangamu ate n'atambuza olugambo bagenda okwendingapo nga ekintu ekyabadde ekyababiri abantu 8 okutuulawo okutereeza ensonga. Kyova olaba nti sometimes okwewala amasimu g'abantu kiyamba nnyo okubeera nti abantu okuma security zaabwe. Kikyaleesa obuzibu mu community naddala mu community yaffe wano mu Britain. Kisinza okuleeta obuzibu abantu batandise okujja mu bantu trust lw'abantu kugenda mu masimu gaabwe.
Yes. Barakallahu fikum, Sheikh. Ibn Muhammad, you have 1 minute, please. So because we have to keep to time, 10 o'clock, we'll be wrapping up. I can only thank you very much for a very beautiful conversation that we have had. Ibn Muhammad, keep it short, please.
Yeah, I just wanted to share an experience whereby,
please,
I was an imam some time back, and of course, we know sheikhs and imams, people need guidance from them. They contact them, they send them messages, asking questions. So what happened? I had a wife before, a woman before. So she checked these messages, and it was just questions, nothing like relationship. What she did, she took the number from the phone. She blocked this person. She texted this person, and this is my other number. We can talk with this. And she went far as meeting with that person and tried to meet her up, trying to fight with her. And this was going out and wide just by her checking the phone. And she's like, why is she softening her voice? I was one time sleeping and I woke up, she's looking at me with anger and what's going on? So this matter of checking phones is really destroying marriages. And once one Imam China was joining me to another wife, among the things he emphasized is not checking the husband's phone. That's what she told her at the marriage ceremony. You shouldn't check his phone. Maybe you shouldn't check your phone. Barakallahu
fikum. Baraka. Thank you very much for keeping it short and sweet. I think the takeaway from this conversation tonight, one, there has to be a conversation of sorts regarding how we deal with phones. But importantly, I think there has to be that kind of me time or private space between the couples. Couples should not have secrets that leads for someone to actually have any doubts. But having said that, in situations, for example, where a wife is a social worker having to deal with particular cases where there might be particular stories that are very personal, husband is a sheikh who is handling people's trust and lots of issues coming through. And quite often it's not the men. The men pretty often don't seek advice or help. The men think they know it all, and I think partly that's the problem we have had, but also to do with the trust issues where people have lost trust. But importantly, you find it's the women who go out to the sheikhs to find solutions, to ask questions, and then sometimes that can be misconstrued. So therefore, for purposes of confidentiality, but I think that still maintains the position that as a person, as an imam, as a sheikh, in your position as a counselor, as long as you maintain that safe distance between you and the advice that you're giving, you are not getting to a level where you want to touch someone's shoulder or, like tap them on the shoulder or take them out for a drink to calm them down, because that's where shaitan now gets in the middle of it. The best way would be keep it professional, keep the conversation as professional as you can, to the point that if someone was to find the messages, then probably they wouldn't be suspicious. Of course, you can't control the other side, because the other person who is writing, while you might respond in a very formal, confident way, the other person might be coming in a different way, depending on how they are feeling. So we pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, of course, to give us the best out of such conversations, because the point we really bring them is because these are the issues that exist within our communities. We were live on 75W Radio, and to remind you that tomorrow on UMMA Connected, inshallah, we have Riyadh Salihin with Sheikh Nkata as usual. And then afternoon, we shall have a special guest, Ashraf Semo Gerede, an artist who has been on the Ugandan art scene for so many years. It will be interesting. He's a very good storyteller, a person that I've worked with very closely. That should be a conversation that will be interesting. Later on, Bridging the Gap on 75W Radio with Beka Chiinji. I will be coming up as well, so don't miss that, inshallah, when you can. On Thursday, UMMA Connected continues with Muslim education in Uganda. Friday, we cross over to UMC, and Saturday and Sunday, the Sunday highlight, of course, being Sheikh Seka Day as usual. Thank you very much for being part of the conversation. Remember, during the course of the week as well, we've got UMMA, the Muslim community in the United States of America, who also run Dars, as well as UAE and the Netherlands on Friday, on Saturday, and on Sundays. Do not miss these conversations. Importantly, come, let's keep talking with me, Kassim Kayira. Thank you very much. I can only pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes us through a better night. Thank you very much, and hope to see you next week, inshallah. And Muslima on Thursday actually is not the Muslim education. My apologies. It is on hijab. So for the ladies and husbands who need to buy the hijabs, please make sure not to miss on Thursday. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you for the time that you have committed to the program. Share the program, get more people coming, and let's have the conversation. You are the ones that make this a story that it has become. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ameen.